And thank you for staying with us. Puerto Rican protests in the island and the Diaspora led up to the resignation of former Puerto Rican Governor Ricardo Rosello. Today, many Puerto Ricans vow to take the streets again if they're not satisfied with the court's decision for governor. Many now stand in New York in solidarity today. Joining us to tell us a little bit more about the protests that she's also helped to organize against the current state of Puerto Rico, the Diaspora, and more is creative director of Ojos Nebulosos.
Ojos.
Ojos, that
like
what I say?
eyes?
Oh,
like
I'm sorry.
ojos.
I said ojos. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I can help you.
Chikki's here with us. She's going to let us know a little bit more about it, and thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me here.
So listen, I want to talk a little bit about you, first of all.
Yeah.
Born and raised Puerto Rico?
Yeah, born and raised in Santurce, Puerto Rico, and between Santurce and Carolina, and I'm also Dominican. My family's from UA, and my dad's from Villa Palmera.
So you've been out
Yeah.
organizing,
Yeah.
not just organizing, but really taking real strong stand in what you've seen in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
First of all, let me just ask you the question, your thoughts on, first of all, the resignation of Governor Rosello.
About time. He's been corrupt since he started, and the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. His dad is also a very corrupt ex-governor we used to have called Pedro Rosselló. So it doesn't surprise me what it has come down to. We just had confirmation when those chat leaks of what we already thought about them, you know.
So it really just became confirmation.
Yeah.
But really for you, it was more than confirmation. It was like, it is time to do something. And so you actually organized as well.
Yeah. Luckily, we've had like people like Nuestra Patria and New York Boricua Resistance and Comité Boricua, and I can keep mentioning them, that have organized many of the protests in solidarity with Puerto Rico over here in New York. I've personally actually organized what we call Perreo in Solidaridad, which is in solidarity. And it's Perreo Combativo, which is a way of dancing against the oppression we've had through the government and any homophobia, transphobia, and anti-blackness that we've had, and just perreando against it.
I want to talk a little bit about, we just showed a few photos, but I want to go back to them for a few seconds because you're also a photojournalist as well.
Yeah.
And you were able to really connect some things through the lens and, and to be able to see some things. And you wanted, and I know the job of the photojournalist is really, I want to drive home a picture in words. And so if we can, let's try to go back to a couple of those pictures because I want to be able to let you put some words on it. Yeah. Okay, there it is right there. Okay. There it is.
Yeah. Yeah, so this was in Union Square in one of the protests against Ricardo Rosselló. This lady, she has a wooden machete in her hand, which symbolizes a lot of the independent movement in Puerto Rico. So in the protests, you'll see a lot of those. Of course, I love capturing the younger generation that's coming with their family members in solidarity and teaching them the ways of how to ask for clarity and to be against the government that's oppressing us.
And so, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. And that's a butterfly that actually stood on the flag, which I thought was very symbolic of a new beginning that's coming for Puerto Rico. We still have a lot to go through, but we're gonna get to be able to finally not have such a corrupt government, hopefully. And yeah.
Were you surprised by the amount of New Yorkers that really stood in solidarity?
No, because I think it just got highlighted more because of all the scandal of the chat being leaked. But Diaspora Ricans, how I would call them, and have always been in solidarity with what is happening in Puerto Rico. It's just that now, after the hurricane, it affected us even more because we lost family members, people lost their houses, so a lot of them migrated to New York. And then you had people that, after this disrespect came to the light, they were like, nah, okay, I actually have to go out into the streets and protest about this. So I'm not surprised about it. I've been surrounded by, all my life around it, so yeah.
And talk about your work. What do you want your work to really be able to capture? Because you're pretty diverse. You're an activist, and not just an activist, but a journalist. So talk about your work.
Bueno. So about my work, I'm only 24 years old, so I don't like to think that I have like a set way of taking my images or documenting in general. It's always developing with me through my experiences. When I used to live in Puerto Rico, of course, I'm surrounded by more colors, right? So I would make sure to capture everything that, like, how do I say that? That showed the Afro-Boricua community, especially because we're not very shown in the public like that in the media. It's very whitewashed. So I always make sure to incorporate Afro-Boricuas and Afro-Latins that live in the island in general. And then coming to New York, I made sure to keep that part of me in my photography and my documenting, because I don't know if you guys know this, but New York is pretty like gray tones and like brown colors. And I'm like, how can I still like challenge myself, but show the true light of things? So I make sure like if I'm gonna protest, and I see colors, that's what I go for, to just keep those roots of being from the Caribbean. And I don't know what else to tell you other than I just go with what feels right. I don't really have like, okay, I'm gonna make sure there's this type of person at this protest or at this place and photograph that. No, like I'm pretty much go with the flow kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, before we go, I want to talk about the present candidates that are running for governor. Give me your thoughts. What do you hear? What are you hearing? What do you see? What do you like?
I want their resignation.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pierluisi is very corrupt individual. He actually has worked with the Fiscal Control Board, and he's what I would call like running a dictatorship, calling himself the governor before it even goes through Supreme Court. Just, you know, like if it's his thing. And then you have Wanda, that we also need your resignation, my love, because she's also somebody that helped cover all of the like what FEMA. That's how you guys call it? FEMA has been doing in the island, and how poorly they treated us during and after the hurricane. So I think the vote should be handed to the public and not to a government that's been showing just corruption and not helping us at all.
Well, we want to tell you thank you for coming and sharing with us. And of course, people have an opportunity to find out more about you. Once you know, if you want more information about Chikki, all you got to do is visit her website and or hit her up on Instagram, and you'll be able to connect with her there. Chikki, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. And thank you for keeping us updated.
No problem.
All righty, listen, don't go away. We have got more show coming up right after this.